crazy. All right, we're streaming.
So, I guess I'll start with some motivation as to why do we need TLSN in the first place. So everyone knows TLS, like it secures all the connections. Today in TLS you have like two parties, the client and the server. And both of them have a pair of symmetric keys. And when they communicate with each other, they encrypt the transcript using this pair of symmetric keys. And the reason we use symmetric keys is because symmetric keys are way more compute efficient compared to asymmetric keys. So the request is encrypted using the client secret key, and the server also has a client secret key, and the response from the server. The response is encrypted using the server secret key, and the client also has the server secret key. Now, let's say if you want to send this response that you got from the server, if you want to send that to a third-party verifier, right over here, and you want to convince them about the authenticity of the response, saying that this response came from this server S1. Unfortunately, you cannot do that because even if you send the response to the verifier will not be convinced about the authenticity of the response because the client also had the same symmetric key. So he could have forged any arbitrary response like R and signed that using the server secret key and send that to the verifier. So the verifier is in this case, this verifier is not convinced about the authenticity of the response. So Deco proposed a solution to this problem, I think around 3 years ago, and their solution would take the symmetric key that the client has and split that into two parts and give one to the verifier. Right. So now, if this is the client secret key, the verifier will have KV, and I guess you could call the client as the prover, which is also the user in this case. The prover will have KP. And these are shares of the secret key rather than the whole secret key. So K, P, XOR, some operation performed over them gives you the full secret key. Of the client. Right. And even this will be split. So having two different keys is like an implementation detail. You can think of it as like one client secret key, one secret key with the client, one secret key with the server, and then this one secret key that is held with the client. Now he no longer holds the whole secret key. He instead holds a share of the secret key, and the rest is with the verifier. And when you combine both of them, then you get the final secret key, right? So if you wanna, let's say, send a request to the server, both of them have to come together, perform some sort of a computation, and then send that to the server. Only then the server will be able to decrypt the response, decrypt the request, and then understand the request, and then send the response back to you.
What are the two keys? Like, just for reference, like, why are there two keys in TLS?
These two keys?
Yeah.
Right? I think these were for, let's say if you want to send a request, right? And then the server returns a response. And if they're the same, you would essentially have two ciphertexts which are encrypted using the same secret key, and there's some sort of an attack vector that you can do over here. That's why you need to encrypt the request, to encrypt the information sent in one direction, you use one key, and then to encrypt the request sent in another direction, you use another key.
So it's like you use the shared secret derived from those two keys for the request, or like you have two different keys. You make two different shared secrets.
Two different shared secrets, yes.
What?
But you can have one shared secret, and you can derive both of these keys from one shared secret.
Got it.
Right? That one shared secret is called the pre-master secret. That's like an implementation detail. You derive both of these keys from your pre-master secret plus some deterministic operations. This is the only randomness that you have, and then you apply some sort of a deterministic operation which is specified in the TLS RFC, and then there you go. then you get like these two individual keys.
Nice.
One other way to achieve the same outcome, but much more easier, like not a lot of cryptography, is the proxy way. So instead of splitting the key with the verifier, you instead put the verifier in the middle. You have the client, the server. You instead let the verifier sit in the middle of your connection, and then whatever you are sending to the server and receiving from the server, this thing is called a proxy, right? The proxy knows all your requests and responses in the encrypted format. So they don't see the plain text, but they do see the direction as well as like the encrypted request and response. And later you can open your plain text response, right? Parts of it, and prove that encrypts to that particular ciphertext, and then the proxy is convinced about the authenticity of the response. Right? This is the proxy flow, but this is like you make assumptions that the client is not able to insert himself here, and then fake a response from a fake server. Right? Let's call this fake server. Then the client will be able to fake the response from a fake server, and this is like kind of less secure compared to the MPC version. So we'll not dive deeper into this.
Why is it preventing like the client and the verifier to collude?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's the gist of it.
Undetectable as well.
That is like it is also collusion is non-attributable, so you cannot like once collusion happens, you cannot go back and say that collusion happened. So I mean the verifier is the one who wants to know something about the client, right? So it's like asking what if the ZK verifier is collude. It's the same thing. Like they achieve nothing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'll jump to that case. Like let's say because this thing is interactive. The protocol that they're running here is called the 2PC TLS protocol, and this is an interactive protocol. Now, if you wanna, let's say, if you wanna do an on-chain verifier, right? Then you will have to. Then the on-chain verifier is no longer interactive. Hence, you need to essentially let this be done with a third-party verifier, and then the third-party verifier attests to the fact that I've done this correctly. Here's the signature, and then you can say that what if these parties collude, and there's no way to say that these parties colluded, and the verifier will still verify the proof on chain because we trust this guy. Right? So at least in the like the non-on-chain use case, this is like a completely trustless protocol. So if the verifier is interactive, this is a trustless protocol. Any questions?
So is it the proxy that handles the how do so when you make a request, how does the signature happens by combining like the two shares?
Yeah, I'll go over that.
Okay.
Like, any questions on like a very high level, like why are we even doing this in the first place? Can I raise this?
I got it.
So I briefly mentioned the 2PC TLS protocol, the protocol that is run between the prover and the verifier. So we'll dive deeper into that right now. So you have the prover P, the verifier P, server S. So the very first step in TLS is the TLS handshake protocol, and in the TLS handshake protocol, what you essentially do is you run the ECDH key exchange, electric Diffie element key exchange, and that key exchange is, I believe, multiplicatively homomorphic. So you can combine two shards of the key, and then the result you get is like the combined key.
Both of them gets the same combination of multiplication.
You can have like GA, GB,
see that at the end.
Yeah, that is ECDH. That is ECDH. That is plain ECDH. You have GA, and then you raise it to the power B,
Yeah.
and you get GA. That is plain ECDH. And because the public keys or the private, I believe the public keys. This is the public key. This is the secret. This is the generator raised over the secret. You get the public key. You can combine two public keys this way.
We're talking about Diffie-Hellman.
This is Diffie-Hellman. I'm saying that you can combine two shards of the key to get a complete private key. Let's complete public key. That's how you split the keys. I mentioned splitting the keys in the earlier protocol. I cannot dive deeper into it because I've not done the math here. But that's the intuition behind it. Like how can you even split? There's a lot of complex thing going on. Like you're not doing MPC key splitting. You're just essentially like combining two shards of the key to get one key, and that you're sending it to the server. So here.
And that's all happening in the garbled circuit?
No.
No.
So the V sends their public key, right? Let's say it's QV, the prover. The prover has come up with their own public key, and then prover sends QP plus QP to the server.
Got it. Or times.
And then the prover has QS, which they send the verifier. I believe he also forwards it to the verifier. They send to the prover because it's the prover who is talking to the server, and then I believe he also sends it to the verifier. Then there is obviously like a private key here. Let's call it KP. There's a private key here called KB. Now they do not know. In this case, they do not know the secret key corresponding to this public.
Yeah.
Make sense? So they will have to run some sort of a 2PC protocol where they send their private inputs KP, KB. This is 2PC, this 2PC, and here you get QS, or rather KS. KS is already held by the server. Right, so whenever they need to send a request to the server, they need to encrypt this using KS, and then the server is able to decrypt it.
Wait, encrypt using like ECDH between QS and QP times QV? Wait, what do you mean encrypt to KS?
What do I mean by?
You said encrypt with KS.
Yeah, encrypt with the secret key.
So, but I thought you were.
Earlier you said that we assume that the generator to the power A plus the generator power of B is equal to generator power to A plus B, but in this construction J to the power of E should be like the public. So meaning that both values should be public, so I can like rebuild like the key that you're using to encrypt.
Who can who can reveal the key?
So in the construction you said earlier, you said like E to the power G to the power of A to G to the power of B, it's equal like G to the power of A plus B. But in ECDH, G to the power of A should be like public, it's like your public key. That's what you're exchanging. So if both actors like exchange their public key, G to the power of A, G to the power of B, then J AB could be like J A plus B could be like built by anybody listening to the communication.
That's true, but you could encrypt that using TLS here. Right? That communication can be encrypted. Okay.
What is the best to define the client side for private key message KP plus KP instead of KP times KP? So, for example, KP reads the G core power KP and the trigger powers KP to that receiving one, and we define that for
one thing to note here is that like these are not necessarily the keys. Like I'm saying that these are the keys because like it makes more sense, but essentially like these are randomnesses. They both have their own randomness, which is called the pre-master secret, and then they get the keys, like they get the final key by combining the pre-master secret. So if you take one random value and another random value, you combine PMS1 XOR PMS2, you get some PMS, right? And then you take the PMS, you do a pseudo random function over this. You do, let's say, master key. This is specified in the TLS RFC. What else do you do? Yeah, I think there's something else here. And then this is essentially a hash run 1,000 times, and then you get the final KS.
So this KS is the same on both the server and...
Yeah, the KS would be the same on both the server and... There is no KS here. The key never exists outside this box. It's only randomness, which they combine every time when they need to encrypt, which I'll go over later. And then they get this KS, and then they do stuff using this KS.
Oh, so TLS works by the server creates a secret on its end, and then you just use that secret for the whole time?
No, this KS is...
it's ECDH.
Yeah, it's ECDH, and the intuition there is that you derive both the client and the server.
Like they do a whole ECDH?
Yeah, they do a ECDH key exchange where the final key is derived from the randomness of both of their individual randomnesses.
You just skip that in this diagram?
Yeah, I skipped that.
Ah, okay.
You need to dive deeper into ECDH.
But wouldn't the server and client both have the entire case?
Yes, in normal TLS, both the client and the server have the entire case, and that's the root of the problem.
Yeah, but like here, how are you doing ECDH while giving half of the key to the verifier?
So the server is able to compute his full key using these two values. Yeah, I mean, we can dive deeper into the math once I figure it out. It's not that difficult.
They just like
need to
combine...
understand ECDH key exchange, and then I said like both have their own randomnesses. This randomness in, like if you think about it, this is the whole client, right? Both the prover and the verifier together emulating the client in the TLS key. So the client's randomness is derived from the individual randomnesses of these guys.
So KP and KV are the individual private keys. And they derive the corresponding public keys, and then using those public keys they derive the whole client public key, and then they send that to the server, and then the server is able to generate the complete public keys and private keys for the whole session using this randomness and whatever randomness he had. This randomness is also used, right? So this is a randomness that is sent by the server to the client, and this is also fed into the QS is also given to the verifier as well, and it can be like a public input to this.
But KS is not the private key to QS. KS is actually the shared thing.
Yeah, KS is the shared.
So
KS is like you perform ECDH on this randomness that is received from here, and then you get KS.
Can we use something other than S there?
Oh yeah, what? KS, KP, KV.
Right?
It's just
Yeah, this is the
confusing
final secret.
because I thought it was for a while. I thought it was the private key of the server.
Yeah.
You can just do SS. We can move on. Sorry.
Yeah, we can definitely dive deeper into the details, but it's like
prime is good.
unnecessary.
Prime, yeah, that's prime.
Cool. This is the handshake protocol. Next, now because we have essentially split the key, whenever the server wants to send a request to the server, they both need to come together again and perform a 2PC encryption. And so whenever they need to send a request to the server, neither of them can individually send it, so they need to come together, perform a 2PC encryption. So the prover in this case will provide the plain text and his share of the key. The verifier will provide his share of the key.
Oh, is
and
it
then they
KP,
perform
KS, no KP, right?
2PC encryption. And then the output of this is the ciphertext C, which is sent to the server. server returns a response R, which is encrypted, right? So you need to encrypted response. C is fine for this because both are request and response, which both are. So this becomes public input to 2PC decryption. The server provides, sorry, the prover provides his share of the key. You do 2PC decryption. You do KB, and then out comes the plain text, and then that is sent back to you.
Again, you need to insert KP also.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It's like if it doesn't have
When
signatures.
we say deep,
Yeah, I want to know about deep.
you want the deep part? Yeah, I mean, we need MPC because we're using symmetric key encryption, right? Like on a very high level, we need MPC because we're using symmetric key encryption. Like all of us are exploring asymmetric keys, right? We are exploring asymmetric signatures. This house should be called asymmetric signature Singularity House. But TLS is the one that actually like tries to solve for the symmetric key case. And when you have symmetric keys, you don't have non-repudiation, and then you need to split the keys, and that's where all this
Nonsense.
nonsense comes from. Yeah, nonsense. Cryptography.
And so this flow is like the same used by TLS Notary, right?
This is like a very high level overview.
Okay.
We'll dive deeper into parts of it one by one.
Okay.
So like when you make an MPC, for every encryption you need all parties to collaborate.
Yes. But in this case, it is like 2PC.
Yeah, this is stupid.
2PC. So yeah. If it was MPC and if the keys were split among n different parties, then all of them would need to collaborate. But if like there's a detail here there, right? If it is m out of n, then only m parties need to collaborate.
But like here the only unintuitive thing is like the verifier is also partaking in the encryption and decryption. So why is it being called as a verifier when it is also like acting as a client?
It is called a verifier because at the whole goal of this whole like protocol is to prove the authenticity of the response to the verifier. I'll go over that.
I think the request is sent to the
Being
server by the
generated by the
prover.
client.
No, by the prover. Like taking the actual 2PC encryption output and forwarding that to the server
Is done
is
by
done
the
by the
prover.
prover. So yeah, that kind of
And the verifier is only giving his share of the
yeah,
key.
to the 2PC prover. And one thing to note here is that the server is fully unaware of the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, as far as the server is concerned, the only thing that he notices is that there's a lot of delay here. Right? If this was like a simple client, this would have come almost immediately. So the only thing that he notices is like there's a lot of delay here. But as far as the server is concerned, that might be like a slow client. Right? It's like someone running a very shitty laptop. So there is no way for the server to say that there's some magical thing happening here. So they cannot censor the prover because he's exporting data outside. Like it was Facebook, and they're proving all your social graph and everything, and exporting it to let's say Farcaster. Facebook server has no way to tell whether you are doing that or not. This is very
And the verifier is also unaware of the request that is being sent to the prover.
The verifier is unaware of the plain text. Yes.
I thought we could skip the 2PC decryption. Like at that point, the verifier just gives you the key, and he's just like, "Have fun, dog."
Yes, that's correct. That is called deferred decryption, and you could skip that if you don't want to continue this TLS. Right? If you just wanted to do one API request, one API response, over here, the verifier could have just revealed his share of the key to the prover, and then I'll dive deeper into the ZK part. But then from there on, we don't need to do like 2PC decryption. Like just the prover can take the key from the verifier and then decrypt the encrypted response sent by the server.
What use case?